Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and in today's video, this is going to be a little bit of a boutique horror 4K Blu-ray roundup. So I have 3 different 4K titles to review, which are all very boutique 4K releases. We've got a couple from Blue Underground. We got The Final Countdown, as well as their new release of Dead and Buried. And then from Severin Films, I have Sangre. Tell me if I'm saying that wrong. You guys know I suck at pronouncing stuff. I'm going to call it Sangre and be a real American, but I'm going to do my best with that. Anyway, we're going to review all 3 of these on 4K. Visual, audio breakdown, special features, and packaging, of which there's plenty to talk about with these releases, and a full recommendation on whether these are going to be worth picking up for your collection. So horror and boutique fans, strap in. This will be a fun video for you. So because I have 3 reviews, I'm going to kind of run through these fairly quickly, but I'm going to start with The Final Countdown. Now, this was released actually a little while ago. I'm a little behind on this one, but let me tell you about The Final Countdown. First of all, the movie, it has Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, James Ferrantino, Charles Durning, Catherine Ross, Ron O'Neal. It's got an awesome cast. It's actually a really, really fun movie, and this is one of the nicest 4K discs that's on the market right now, hands down. This is a new 4K 16-bit restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. It has Dolby Vision HDR and Dolby Atmos audio. And honestly, I have not seen a better 4K disc this year than Final Countdown. It is absolutely stunning, the restoration work that was done here. The picture is incredible. You can tell the time and effort that Blue Underground put into this, and they continue to be they're like kind of flying under the radar when it comes to 4K, but anyone in the boutique and horror kind of cult movie world knows them well because their previous releases on 4K have been so top notch that they made my top 10 list for 2020, and I could see this one competing for the top spot in 2021. The visuals are that good. They are absolutely amazing, especially for a movie of this time period. This 35mm restoration has to be one of the best I've ever seen. This is up there with the 2001. This is up there with The Shining. This is up there with Jaws. It's up there with those caliber of movies, and it's probably a movie you may have never even heard of. But Blue Underground kills it with this. Excellent Dolby Vision HDR, and that Dolby Atmos audio is no slouch either. It's a full-on Dolby Atmos track. You're going to give your system a workout. It really pumps. Bass is really nice. The effects are pumping in this movie. They're constant. It's a really fun movie to watch, especially when it looks as good as this. Now, typical of Blue Underground on the packaging and special features, you got a lenticular slipcover here, which is pretty cool. And then this is a pretty big set. So I'll pop open the inside just so you can see. It's their standard kind of clear case. There is a Blu-ray as well as a 4K disc, and then a booklet as well as a CD on the other side. So this is pretty typical with Blue Underground. They usually give you a CD soundtrack to go with their movies, and Final Countdown's no exception. Now for special features, there's an audio commentary with the director of photography. There's an interview with Lloyd Kaufman, who was the associate producer on this. There's an interview with the Jolly Rogers F-14 fighter squadron, who feature in this movie. Theatrical trailers, TV spots, and then poster and stills gallery. Then, of course, you get a collectible booklet, and you get the Final Countdown original motion picture soundtrack. So, you know, Blu-ray, 4K, CD, 3-disc set, really, really impressive, worth every penny if you like this type of cult B movie. Although, I don't even know if you can consider this a B movie. We're talking about, like, Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, like, this is a big name movie. I think it just kind of flies under the radar, and maybe not a lot of people remember it, but it's an absolute stunner on 4K, so I definitely recommend it. Now for the next one, let's jump into Dead and Buried on 4K, which is a really cult horror classic. Maybe you haven't heard of it, but anyway, again, stars James Ferrantino, who was in The Final Countdown, Jack Albertson, who was in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Melody Anderson from Flash Gordon, Lisa Blount, Robert Englund, who's Freddy in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it has the director of Poltergeist 3 was behind this, and it was written by the team behind the movie Alien. So, it also, I should mention, has gore effects by Stan Winston, who's an Oscar winner. He also worked on Jurassic Park. So the movie has a ton of just pedigree behind it, right? And it's a pretty gory, typical, horror movie from, I believe, the 80s, right? 1981. It's kind of your typical horror slap, but the gore is over the top. So if you don't like that, you won't like this movie. Here in my hands, I have one of the limited edition slip covers. This is the one they sent me. This is actually one of the more rare ones. There's 3 versions you can choose from for the 40th anniversary here. Now, Dead and Buried was scanned. This was the 4K 16-bit again, which is great, but it's from the 35mm IP, which is the interpositive. So it's not the negative, it's one step further along the process. So it's not as good as scanning from the negative. It's still very good, but they maybe didn't have the source materials in the negative to get a full scan. Then it has, again, Dolby Vision HDR and Dolby Atmos audio. So because it's an interpositive scan here, it's not as good as the Final Countdown, and it's not as good as Zombie or Maniac, which were a couple other 4K releases from Blue Underground. It may be the weakest of the Blue Underground 4K releases, but that's sort of like saying you're the worst player on the All-Star team, because all of their releases are so good, and this release would still stand up to most other 4K transfers out there. It's very clean. It has its moments here and there where there's a little bit of, issue with the image. It's not super clear, but overall, another great restoration. And clearly they weren't working with some of the best elements here. And the Dolby Vision HDR gives it a nice burst, especially in some of those gory scenes. So if you like that, you'll enjoy the way they look in HDR. And the Dolby Atmos audio, it gives it some really nice, soundscape. I didn't expect much from this movie. It's probably one that maybe didn't need Dolby Atmos audio, but, we're never going to complain when we do get it. It may not take full advantage like the Final Countdown did, but it's a very good audio track. And so overall, a very solid audio video release. I would say it's worth upgrading, but only if you're a super fan. The Blu-ray that came out previously of this is also pretty good. So there's, that's your comparison point. You may not want to drop the $40 again, but the packaging here is really cool. It is a great 4K scan, the best it's ever looked. Dolby Vision HDR adds a lot, and Dolby Atmos audio is hard to argue against. So ultimately, this one's going to come down to budget. It's not as good a 4K disc as the Final Countdown or some others. It's very solid, very, above average, just above the middle of the pack compared to other stuff from the major studios, but not one of Blue Underground's best, in my opinion. Now, like I said, packaging here, lenticular slipcover again. I have one of the limited editions. Then breaking open, again, you get a clear case. That's kind of their standard. Blu-ray and 4K disc. The booklet, again, like we saw with Final Countdown, and the motion picture soundtrack. So very similar to the Final Countdown. Now, for special features on this release, you get quite a bit more than the Final Countdown, actually, which is cool. You get an audio commentary with director Gary Sherman, a commentary with the co-writer, co-producer Ronald Shuzette, and actress Linda Turley, an audio commentary with director of photography Stephen Poster, an audio commentary, this is brand new, with film historians Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson. There's a new behind-the-scenes featurette. There's a new location featurette, which shows the locations they filmed at then and now. Kind of like my Jaws video. If you haven't seen that, check it out. There's a new Murders, Mystery, and Music interview with the director and composer. The Pages of Potter's Bluff, which is a new interview with the novelization author, Chelsea Yarborough. And then there's some more on the visual effects from Stan Winston, Robert Englund and his, some of his early work, Dan O'Bannon, theatrical trailers, posters and stills, and location stills. Plus, you still get the collectible booklet and the CD soundtrack. So, while this isn't as maybe a standout as Final Countdown when it comes to the visuals and audio, it's a standout release for a total package because it's loaded with special features. So if you're a fan of Dead and Buried, it's going to be hard for me to tell you not to buy it, but it's probably not the most mainstream thing for everyone. Now, last up, this is from Severin Films, who have started to dabble in 4K a bit and have done a decent job. This is Santa Sangre. So this is a big set that they put out here. It's a 4-disc limited edition with the UHD and the Blu-ray, 8 hours of bonus features, and again, the exclusive soundtrack CD only available in this box. So they do really cool stuff like Blue Underground as well. Now, the restoration here, again, this was a 4K scan from the original negative, and it was supervised by Alejandro Jodorowsky himself, who is the director. So he supervised it, he oversaw it, and it is a really, really nice image. Again, of this set, I'm kind of comparing Final Countdown as the top, Dead and Buried probably comes in third, and this is a close second. If you like this type of movie, again, it's gonna, it's gonna be for a very niche audience, but it's as good as it's ever looked, and it's a really beautiful release. Another great restoration from these independent distributors like Severin and Blue Underground, who are doing excellent work under the radar. So the visuals here are very nice. HDR adds a nice touch as always, and I did like the audio in this release. I really didn't have any complaints from an AV standpoint, and I know I'm kind of blowing through these, but I'm trying to throw up screenshots where I can. But I really just wanted to get the news out there about these releases because they deserve more attention. The work that's put into these is probably more than any of the major studios are doing with their big catalog titles, and so they really deserve to be highlighted. So if you're a fan of this movie, if you like Alejandro Jodorowsky and his stuff, he supervised this. It's really, really well done. It's the best this movie's ever looked, and I think you'll like it. So it should be a no-brainer for fans of this type of thing. If you're not convinced yet, though, let me tell you about the special features. So on the first disc, this is the 4K, and on the Blu-ray, there's audio commentary with the director Jodorowsky and journalist Alan Jones. There's actually a behind the scenes on the restoration of this from the director. Super cool if you're into that sort of thing. Deleted scenes with director commentary, sort of always interesting to add that to a deleted scenes. And then the theatrical trailer. And then disc 3 is all special features. Forget Everything You've Ever Seen, The World of Santa Sangre, a feature-length documentary included with this. Interviews with Claudio Argento, with the cinematographer, executive producer, the editor, the screenwriter, a 30th anniversary celebration in Mexico City, a documentary on the real-life inspiration for this movie, interviews with Jodorowsky, a short film from Jodorowsky, and like a music video, another short by Simon Boswell, and then the fourth disc is the soundtrack. I mean, it's loaded with features, and the packaging is also really nice. Kind of a debossed or embossed cover, and then this kind of opens up. It's just cardboard, but it opens up, and then each of these discs has its own individual plastic holder. So that's key when you're doing cardboard, at least in our cardboard slips. And then there are some like postcard type movie stills which come with this. So it's a pretty cool release. Like, I love diving into these little known horror movies, slasher movies, cult movies. And yeah, if you're into this sort of thing, I'd recommend it because it's a great restoration. Clearly was a work of love by the director, and the restoration as well, both the movie and the restoration. So I'd recommend it. Again, it's going to have a bit of a premium charge because it's an independent distributor. Severin's got to make their money back on this work and this restoration, but it's a really nice release. And although the price tag may be a little bit higher, you're getting way more content than any of those kind of studio catalog titles, major studio titles that go for $20. You're paying a premium for both the independent studio and their cost, but also because they put a lot of time and effort into these things. So that's it for the reviews. Final Countdown is an excellent one. Dead and Buried is very good, and Santa Sangre is very, very good as well. So I will leave links to all three of these down in the description. Most of them sell through Amazon. You can also find them at places like Diabolic DVD or other retailers like that. Grindhouse might have some. You'll find them at places like that. But anywhere you purchase these, it's going to be appreciated by the studios, by the directors behind them. On Amazon, sometimes these guys start to rank in the top 5 for Blu-ray discs, and that's super cool to see. So anywhere you buy it is awesome. I'll leave links to Amazon. That helps support my channel, and I appreciate the support. But definitely support these independent studios. They're doing great work under the radar. They need more attention, which is why I love making videos like this and talking about what they're doing. I don't want to miss out on this stuff just to talk about Space Jam and Indiana Jones and all these big titles. Those are all great, but at the end of the day, collectors love this sort of thing too, and we've got to remember that there's lots of other studios doing great work. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate a subscribe here. Like this video so others will find out about these independent releases in these really cool 4K discs. That will help spread the word. And make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All the links are down in the description, as well as other ways you can help support my channel. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. It's been awesome making these videos and content for you guys over the last few years, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you soon.